Hey, good morning. What is up? Sorry, just getting this set up here. I need my music. Nice. Okay. So where we at here? Good morning, good morning. Expectation, still bullish to be honest. We wanted to see, let's kind of hide the indicators. 15-minute. So this high here was the target yesterday. I expected price to run and clear that overnight. Instead, we actually go lower, which is nice. Returning to the OB, returning into higher time frame fair value gaps, 4 hour here. And then this is that inversion, but I'm looking at the most recent 4 hour. So this one, that's what we're trading into, holding that 4 hour candlestick's about to close. So I would expect continued bullish delivery, to be honest. Oops. High impact news at 10 o'clock. So we'll probably wait till then. Running, okay. Oh, bruh, again. Keep that there. So yeah, expectation would be just bullish delivery from here, to be honest. Right, we can follow price. As we said, we trade lower into that most recent 4 hour fair value gap. We then displace away from it, closing back above its lower quadrant here. So if I was to bring this up, right, we displace above that lower quadrant, leaving a fair value gap. That fair value gap is 830 level as well. We would expect that to hold. We trade into it, we hold there. We then accelerate through this high, closing above the 4 hour. Right, after we do that, we retrace back down perfectly into its midpoint. So we don't want to get any lower than this original low. We then displace outside again, 1 minute fair value gap. That stays open. Price consolidates, wicks into a short-term low clear, displacement above, first presented. And now, high of the opening range there. And if we're going to run, right, we would expect, as I said, I like this high in the meantime. Closure outside of the opening range probably means that we're going to want to use that as support to continue to accelerate. Yeah, that was a nice one. I'm actually in there right now. We'll get out at this high if we can get there. And then we'll look for something else at 10 o'clock. Is this midnight? What's this? Yeah, that's midnight. So right, my expectation would be closure above midnight, this level, leaving opening range gap. We'd want to see midnight hold us and actually clear the buy side. If we do that, 10 o'clock, then we would expect retracement into the opening range And then from there, I would look to potentially find a setup. Pretty much this 5 minute here, wouldn't expect much deeper. So we'll see if we can clear this buy side real quick. What up, Sharky? Well, like we might already be done for the day, damn. That was a nice little pump up there. Okay. If we end up running that out, first presented. Okay. So yeah, buy side should be hit here. And then at that point, like we said, high impact news at 10. So if we get out here, we'll wait and then look to get something using 10 o'clock. Might fall short of that and consolidate until then. But the expectation would be we should run that buy side out. Wouldn't really want to see like first presented at this point. Would want this to hold. If we're going to come back down into a discount. And that's because this one is paired with the opening range, right? So as I said, I want to see the opening range hold if we're going to try to run out this buy side. Just the high of that level paired with the 1 minute paired with new day opening gap. So once again, overlapping kind of the time-based PD arrays, higher priority. That's how you could find the important fair value gaps within the actual candlestick structure. So still first presented. For me though, as we say, right, I'd want to see us run this buy side and then give a retracement into that, heading into the high impact news at 10. Midnight should hold as well. I'm still looking at that with the candle bodies. So we're wicking into the inefficiency, but I want to hold the bodies with this midnight level here. Cool. So now we should see it run out these equal highs, potentially buy side. I'm just going to close at these equal highs, right? That's only like what? A handle. We don't need to reach for that. So if we can get these equal highs, that'd be good enough for me. Short-term buy side right there. Equal highs. Okay, so to me, if we don't run those, I'd even like that more, to be honest, at 10 if we came down, because now, in my mind, engineering liquidity. We did clear all these highs, right? But the expectation is this is the actual buy side we're trying to get to. Higher time frame. Notice as well, I'm aiming at this one because this open inefficiency. So I always like seeing those, right? Untapped inefficiencies with swing highs right at that level. So then that's an easy kind of run on buy side while returning into an inefficiency. Price will always move from liquidity to inefficiencies. So when we have them paired like that, just a stronger magnet. $200 pulled out the bottom? What do you mean you pulled out the bottom? Like you close it manually? Yeah, I'll be honest, for me, with pal talking, right, it's more so like I play it by ear. So usually I'll avoid it. But this was just kind of too clean, right? This is one that jumps off the chart. So if I see that, that's very high probability. I don't really have any hesitation to enter on that. I've kind of gotten to the point to where I just understand, right, which news events or what news will do. So I'm not too worried about that. I always will say that it's best to avoid when pal's talking just as you're learning, because that's when it's going to be a little bit tougher. But right, do as I say, not as I do type. But yeah, something like this, too hard to ignore. And at 10 o'clock, if we still get something, I'm fine. Trying to use that. And on top of that, I actually won't be here this afternoon. So that's another reason. Usually I would. but we're busy. So since I won't be able to do the afternoon, I could still find something in the morning. Manually closed. Hey, that's why we always say, right? Set your TPs and let it rock. Don't limit your profit potential. But if you still win money, money's money at the end of the day. I'm guessing, are you doing like a top step? Is that why you're aiming for 200 exactly? So deeper retracement might actually get stopped before we even get that buy side. But if we do, it's all right. We already secured most of it, so we're break even. We gave up the new day opening gap. I wouldn't like that. On a higher time frame, though, we have this 5 minute. So we said that we could probably retrace into that and then still hold. We'll see what the 10 o'clock news event wants to do. In my mind, relative equal highs up here. As we said, we cleared all of this buy side, buy side, buy side. But I'm not convinced that we're done. This is too clean in my opinion. So the expectation is we want to see that. We've now layered buy side liquidity here. Short-term high near an intermediate swing high just below an open inefficiency. That's a 1 hour inefficiency too. Yeah. So I like that actually. Four-hour candlestick will close. And in my mind, right, we held not only the original most recent bullish 4-hour fair value gap, so we trade into it, we hold, expectation would be bodies hold the high of it, that's what we're seeing. Well, at the same time, we're also holding midpoint of our inversion. So both of those, to me, bullish. Daily, same idea, right? We're holding that, we accelerate, we're gonna close above the most recent down close candle. 15. If we could close above these relative equal highs on the 15, that'll be better. That'll be more confirmation. We'll see if we can do that. We've got about a minute. So whenever these next 2 minutes close, ideally we're above this level in price here. So for the time being, I'd actually want to see that support price and then try to offer a bounce. First presented here could still hold. As I said, I'm break even right now, so right on first presented high. But we may need to come back down into there. If we do, all good. News coming up shortly. Oh, you trade options. Okay. And I got scared, he says. Hey, it's going to happen. It's all right, man. Emotions. Just get better each day. Remember that for next time, right? Next time you're in a trade. You should always have predetermined areas of exit and entry before you enter. That will prevent that kind of emotional response. Still will feel emotions for sure, but if you have predetermined targets, it helps you hold. Okay, so we do hold that. As we said, whenever this candlestick closes, that's going to be the 15, it's going to be the 1, it's going to be the 4. Pretty much all the candles will be in sync with this next 1 minute candlestick closure. And it's high impact news, so we'll see what we get. Wouldn't be surprised. So those first presented, now we'll probably run for buy side. Let's see. I'm out there actually at midnight. I don't like that. We're out there. So at this point, now we'll have to wait. You did not have a predetermined target. Okay. You don't think we're done going lower? I would say we'll see. For now, bullish, yeah, especially if we closed at least to that high. Untapped inefficiency. We've just used first presented ugly wick, so at this point we'll wait and see because I'm not in a rush. We did open up the stop at 10 o'clock because we understand. So we use first presented. Price runs up, we partial out, new day opening gap. 10 o'clock comes, I'm moving my stop to this low because we understand first presented can be referenced again. So we wick into that, and then as we trade up into midnight, we're just closing there. So I had this original high aimed for, but seeing this kind of wick was ugly, and I'm fine taking that, right, and not aiming for an extra 2 handles. It's whatever it is. From there, though, I would expect that we still continue bullish. right? So my expectation is higher prices. We hold that level perfectly, right? So very random. 15 ends up closing above. So now my expectation would be we've created the bullish breaker. That should hold. We've immediately rebalanced. So to be honest, if we are bullish, we won't really give a deeper retracement because everything has already been delivered efficiently. Consolidation, run lower. As we close above this high, right, as we say, efficient price delivery here. Here, there's no inefficiencies from this low, pretty much all the way up to this most recent candlestick. 5 minute been efficiently delivered as well. So yeah, here will be pretty interesting. 10 o'clock now, Powell's talking, high impact news. So this is where we can get pretty choppy. But I still commit to the idea that I favor buy side over sell side. The thing that would kind of flip that for me, if we came back down, inversed, got underneath today's first presented, then lows would start being my interest. Lows here, potentially all the way back down into this consequent encroachment. But yeah, we should hold, right? Remember, we have our opening range midpoint. We've gotten above that. 2 sets of first presented fair value gaps. Time-based PD arrays, higher probability or higher priority anyways. If we're being honest, this wick should hold price. If we're going to want to see buy side here, we'd want to see this wick hold for the time being. We do have equal lows there actually, so that was pretty unfortunate. So that's going to be short-term sell side. I didn't realize we had equal lows. So it might need to actually pick up those equal lows, but same idea. The expectation would be if we're going to come down into this, we'd want to see it reject again. For the time being, we're looking at the old high that we had marked out. So that's the old consolidation high. As we get above that, that'll be an area of support, especially as the 15 minute is closed above that. Pair that with the fact we have a 5 minute, no 15 minute, but we do have a 5 minute here. So I'm kind of watching to see what does that produce with the candle bodies. So the 5 minute is here itself. Best case scenario, right, is that we actually close above that. That's kind of why I'd want this area to hold and would want this to be a protected low, because we have the old highs, we have the 5 minute fair value gap, prices already traded through it and closed back above. Next 5 minute candlestick will close here in 1 minute. So especially if this next 5 minute candle did close above the 5 minute fair value gap, at that point I would for sure want to see this be a protected low if we're going to reach into the buy side up here. Oh yeah, we can look at NQ. I'd be forgetting. So NQ, let's see where we're at. Oh, NQ a little bit uglier, to be honest. Not as clean. Let's go to a higher time frame real quick. So same idea though, 4 hour holding. 4 hour holding. Continued wicks, okay. SMT at the highs, hold up, let's go like this. Okay, no SMT. Where are my drawings at? Weird. Oh well. Short-term low. Purge and revert inside the liquidity. Holding its midpoint. Yeah, like that. Okay. 1 hour, 4 hour bullish. 15, same thing. So right away, I would expect this 4 hour to want to hold price. Let's go to a 1 minute. There goes ES. Geez, there's so much going on. Let's hide this. We really only care about this level and the 5 minute. So on NQ, same idea really. We clearly short-term lows. We perfectly deliver into midpoint of this fair value gap. I like that. We then displace outside of it, low to high, leaving only one inefficiency. Prices now came back down into that and rebalanced it efficiently. We then leave the fair value gap again. So NQ a little bit choppier, more range bound, but I'll kind of have that same expectation that I don't want to see if this low can be the protected low. At this point, it's an intermediate swing point, right, with swing points to the left and to the right, and it's returned into a higher time frame key area. So I would almost look to see if the 4 hour or the 1 hour here in NQ, was that the 1 hour? Just got to be sure. Yes, the 1 hour. If the 1 hour can offer us support. Fair to get back above the high. New opening gap, maybe. A little ambitious. If we want to, yeah, that gap could stay open. Especially if we're going to maintain bullishness. Gaps like this don't usually fill until we clear highs. Honestly, we can come all the way back down into the 4, still hold from there. Why is it so long? So NQ, yeah, NQ a lot uglier right now. ES a little bit easier to be reading. NQ a little barcodey. Stuck in this data wick at this point. So range bound delivery really, right? High and low. As we said, we favor the high get engaged with first rather than the low. Equal lows, however. So it could be something where we run into buy side turtle soup that run into the equal lows. Conversely, if we ran the equal lows first, I still would favor this buy side. So I'd look for the rejection, some type of reversal. Oh, excuse me. Yikes. Five-minute did not close above the 5-minute fair value gap. Still would want to see that. We did open though. Notice there's a small 5-minute volume imbalance right here. So I'd want that to stay open. If we're going to look for that run higher, you want to see this stay open. So we're building more discounts. Looks like we're going to want to close it in. We'll wait and see whatever this 1-minute candlestick does. So if it closes above, 5-minute will be open. Closure below 5-minute is closed in. It's an actual liquidity void as well. So pretty much would have to reject quickly. You got 3 seconds, so it looks like we are going to close that in. Okay, so we do end up closing that in. Still stuck inside the 5. So at this point, we have been unable to get outside of it. That would still be the expectation, though. So we're just holding on to that idea. At this point, still care about that volume imbalance. Could act as resistance, so that's maybe an issue. We give up midpoint of this wick. We'll probably come for the low of it. So that's the next area to look for, right? Midpoint, closure below that. Then we go into the equal lows first presented and kind of the jumble of first percentages that we have here paired with midpoint. What low is this? Okay. So we have a little bit of S&T with NQ here. Right, this 10 o'clock low has already been cleared twice. Once, twice. We didn't get outside the 5, so we made an attempt. But notice, right, candle bodies kind of reject that area. And we're trying to get back above now. So still watching really this original high the original buy side pull. It's going to be our key area. Price is delivered into that, perfectly rejected. So the expectation would be on a 1 minute sense, the 1 minute has flipped short-term bearish just because we've closed below this 5 minute inefficiency, the midpoint of it. 5 minute, however, is still bullish in my mind, right? We have to wait for the 5 minute to close. But if the 1 minute is going to give an indication, closing under the midpoint, it'll tend to use that midpoint now as resistance. So if we want to see higher prices, we want to reclaim that level in price, close above it. Ideally now, invert this, right? Because we've created a new premium here aligned with the volume imbalance. So if we can get above that, we're going to be creating an inversion and we'll be reclaiming the original volume imbalance bullish, right? So once again, that should hold in my opinion. Pair that with the SMT as well. Yeah, I like that. Because once again, midpoint of our opening range is where we've hit. And Q is below its opening range. But this is kind of where, right, if the expectation is bullish, we can fall outside, paint outside the lines, and we'd look for it to still continue. Nice. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we want to see there. 5 minute holds. At this point, that was the protected low we mentioned. If we're going to retest, we would want to see the 5 be support at this point. So this low should hold now. If we're going to come back down into the 5, we would want to see that offer support and then finish that run into buy side. Something like that would give just about 5 handles. Okay. If anything, it may just use the opening range gaps high. So if this is the bullish run, after running lower, picking up short-term lows, hitting a first presented, we've accelerated above new day opening gap and we've closed on the high of the opening range. We could see this new day opening gap here be support to actually get us outside the opening range, clear the buy side. NQ is going to create the breaker here, bullish. So it looks like it has more room to the upside here. Nice, there's the original buy side, beautiful so far. Volume imbalance above, so expectation would be we hit this candlestick's close and we accelerate into this buy side now, into the open inefficiency. Fell short of that, so still engineering liquidity here. We'd expect that to be ran. Same in NQ. We expect these highs to be cleared. From there, then we'll kind of see if we invert above that or accelerate above that anyways, create a bullish inversion. We could actually look for this 1 hour swing point. And then I would go towards the midpoint of this wick. Next target. That's a 4 hour high as well. Okay. So yeah, from here, we just want to see the most recent fair value gap hold like this. Nice. Okay, we don't even need to get in there. So there's buy side. So now that is target. That was objective. From here, we have to wait and see. Few possibilities. Okay, we can invert this. If we invert this, close below it, I might actually look for first presented now. We get above the 1 hour. I'd still look for these higher prices. So at this point, we just got to wait and see what type of price delivery we get with the candlesticks. We've already hit really both objectives. So that's nice. 5 minute did hold. As we said, this was our protected low. Would not need to visit that if buy side was the objective. Makes one more attempt, simply using the 5 minute. Huge acceleration. Closure above, right? We would expect that continued bullishness. Closure above. So yeah, we would expect just continued bullishness from this point. Could retouch the original buy side potentially. Nice. But yeah, we would expect if we want to really be extremely bullish to just run. Because in reality, if we look at this here, that's really the only untapped inefficiency. Wait, let's see a 5 minute real quick. We're going to have that 5 minute, okay. Whereas I'm saying in reality, this range here is already balanced. So if we have expectations or more momentum to the upside, we shouldn't really have to get back below this original high. It may wick into this, so that's why I'm saying if we were going to start running, I'd prefer that it really just holds the 1 hour. If anything wicks into this fair value gap, if we like close back below this buy side, and as we say, invert this fair value gap, in my mind, that will probably set up a little short-term reversal. So we can move this because that's basically just the 1 hour buy side. This is kind of that area of interest I have now. NQ bullish as well. Close above its highs. So same idea. Would want to see it just push. And I'm saying I'd want this to be a balanced price range because if we just look, so already we set on the 5 and 15. From this low up until the 5, there was really no inefficiencies. That was the first inefficiency. Well, we come into the low of it once. We don't close above. We then test the low again and accelerate quickly, now closing above the 5. So really from this low to this high, everything has been delivered efficiently. Especially, right, you could see even with that news wick. We wick lower. We then get higher. So that paintbrush analogy of a lot of back and forth within here. The only open inefficiency really left is, as we're saying, right, that first presented here in theory. Which is why I believe if we were to get under this one, even get back underneath this original buy side, I would look for first presented. Because now we've created a little bit of sell side there to target. So we'll see what we get. There's test of that buy side. Closure back underneath the 1 hour. We're going to probably leave a bearish fair value gap here. Oh wait, did we close it in? If we do, that is a very small one. I'll be interested to see what we do there. So you said we're holding this. We've gotten to the low of it. The wick goes into buy side. Now we've created a small bearish fair value gap aligned at the high of this. So I do want to see if we can't actually leave this bullish volume balance open and try to get above. But as we say, closing below midpoint of the bullish will tend to lead to that midpoint being used as a premium. And that's what we see, right? We wick into it first. We then try to open with a volume imbalance. We immediately reject. So from here, as we said, we can come into this as a wick, but I wouldn't really want to see closure. If we close back below this buy side, I'm actually going to look for the deeper retracement. So best case scenario is this wicks, it closes back above this, that becomes a swing low, and then it makes a run for these highs again and tries to get up here. Closure below, to me, early indication it might fall through this fair value gap. So we're back inside that range, bearish volume balance, watch that. Right now I would watch the actual buy side. That may be the new area of resistance. So if we're going to immediately rebalance, it'll hit that buy side, hit this candlestick's low, we'll move away and leave this volume balance open. If it wants to be real bearish, it'll actually displace through this while leaving that volume balance open, creating a new premium and invalidating the discount. 5 minutes still has some time, so we have a 5-minute inefficiency as well, that 5-minute volume imbalance we spoke of. We really need to wait for that to close to have a better understanding, but as far as the 1 minute goes, right, 1 minute is trying to get bearish. So as we said, we're going to hit that high, we're going to leave that, and we're going to fall. Now that we've hit midpoint, we'll see what we get. It'd need to reject from there. That's also midnight as well, right? That's why I'm looking at this fair value gap. It's midnight, it's the 1 minute fair value gap, it's the breaker high. Closure below. So yeah, at this point, we would expect price to just keep falling. And now the target would become, as we said, these equal lows here, right? NQ cleared that low, so pretty much just seek and destroy. But the 1 hour holds. Closure below the buy side, as we said, early indication, deeper retracement can be expected. So now at this point, from this low to this high, this most recent leg, everything has been repriced. There's no open inefficiency. Right, that was the last one. So if we can hold this, it may still have a chance, actually. Because once again, that's our opening range. And NQ cleared these lows. So that's going to be S&T. So I'm really interested to see what we do here. I wanted to see these equal lows get cleared, but seeing NQ run those lows in this hard rejection, we may have to leave that for the time being. We did invert this, so I would like that as a potential inversion play. Right, that's at the midnight level as well. Five minute fair value gap. So whenever this 5-minute candlestick closes, as you said, it'll be a better indication, but I still do like those equal lows there. Let's see what this 5-minute wants to do. So we got about 2 minutes for the new 5-minute candlestick to close. One thing I have been playing with as well is this indicator is using the actual hourly as well. Let's see if I can bring that back up. Power of 3, using the 1 hour. Bullish will go green. The 1 hour open. Okay. So yeah, we could still see this go actually. Let's see what we get here. At this point, need to invert, right? So if we're going to hold bearish, it will be from this, in my opinion. Midnight open level. We'll like wick into this. We'll reject. We'll fall through the 5-minute. And we'll make an attempt for the sell side right there. NQ outside of its opening range once again. And now it's underneath this first presented with the fair value gap. So if that holds, creates another run lower, as we say, that's when we can get that sell side target in ES here. So far, overall, pretty ugly though. And that's why we try to avoid PAL days. So NQ trying to make another move for that low. So far, holding its first presented. NQ falls through. Okay, so we should see ES catch up. We wanted to get these lows here. ES a little stronger at this point. Still favor the sell side, however, at this point. Just cleared a short-term low, wicked. And Q's going to get the 1 hour low, in my opinion. Which should see ES, right? Clear these. That is a first presented again, however. So a lot of kind of PD arrays aligned here. Midpoint. First presented, first presented. I like clearing that sell side, though. Beautiful. Cool. So there's the sell side there. From here now we could probably reject potentially. Perfect 5 handles. Cool. We fall through the first presented. We could actually look for this 1 hour to stay bearish with a large wick. Potentially revisit. Nice. All right, so for us, we did try to long. We were going to use the low of this 1 hour. We entered there. All right, as we're trading into the midpoint, as we trade lower and create the inversion, right, inverting this fair value gap, as we said, we actually flip the position and go short into the first presented. And then from here, we should probably start accelerating again. We'll see, we'll see. But at this point, I might just leave it. Just playing with the micros, to be honest. Always like to be engaged with the market. Now we take a look. So we said I try to go long right here. As soon as we closed above that 1 hour, just going to use that. If it falls through, we try trading lower. As we trade into this inversion, now I'm flipping it. Because the understanding was if we get below that, we're going to go lower. So we flip it there. We then actually add another one as we're respecting. So now I see we flip at the high. We're respecting new day opening gap. As this candlestick closes underneath, I'm immediately going short as we open that next candlestick. And then the target was that first presented. And now from there, we'll see. So we catch the swing low and swing high. We timed that swing low perfectly. From here, we could almost go back up again, to be honest. 5 minute is continuing to hold, right? 5 minute tells the story. Body's not even getting near midpoint. NQ, S&T, pretty large S&T, clearing. What low even is that in ES? Is that this low? Geez, that's this low. So NQ has cleared this low. So I honestly don't see price coming all the way back down. So I'd almost trust this now. to get the new high. Probably going to leave a 1 minute inefficiency with that as well. Yeah. That one is real. The one I showed you was a funded account. This one that has nothing on it is a paper trade. Yeah, I would like that, to be honest. That's a potential long there. Clear the lows, clear the equal lows, hold first presented. Hold this with the bodies. It's even stronger. Trade back up. It is going to be choppy, so. But I'd like to actually see if we're going to come back down into this, potentially hold that. So we fall through, because that is, once again, that premium. So we could still really hold that premium if we wanted to and fall through. But now we just may be getting choppy, right? Because we've cleared pretty much the buy side and the sell side. So we've cleared both ranges, we'll say, both liquidity points within this little range. This is where we can see that ugly kind of consolidation again. NQ takes it low again, ES refusing to. So ES a little bit stronger this morning. May catch up. First presented again, retesting. NQ outside of its new week opening gap. So pretty large discrepancy at this point. Yeah, NQ's all the way down here. So this may be sixth sister, honestly, but we'll see. If we can get below first presented, then I'd be more keen to start looking for shorts. I just think NQ is a lot weaker. So I'm not convinced that ES is really trying to get down there. Let's go like a higher time frame real quick. That's a huge, yeah, geez, look at that. That's crazy. Because like an NQ, to me, this is more bearish. Leaving the 1 hour with that inefficiency like that. So like if something like that were to hold, we would expect actually that this most recent volume imbalance and this inefficiency here would hold as well. But once again, this could be inverted and create a bullish setup. Yeah, another run lower. So NQ, what's that even trying to reach? First presented right here, potentially. Yeah, we should see if we can get first presented here. This should actually fall through as well and get that low too. Low. Nice. Okay. So we should just keep going, in my opinion, from here. It's kind of clean. We hold that. We hold that fair value gap. We clear the lows. We're testing that. As we say, closure below that should lead to continued bearishness. I like this low, or at least that inefficiency as well. We'll see if this wants to hold, though, the first presented. We actually switched it and went with NQ for that short. So that's nice. Is that we went, right, so we had ES, now here on NQ. That was a little bit cleaner in my opinion, as we said, compared to what we were looking at in ES. So that was pretty easy. Fair value gap outside of the opening range, previous day level, new week opening gap level, displacement candle, easy short. So if we trade above this high, we're shorting that swing high. And then as usual, we get the swing low exit on that sell side. This sell side is the most recent swing before the gap. So if the expectation is we get below the new week opening gap, well, I just want to aim for the most recent swing low before that, which is here, with the expectation that we still probably will come into this first presented, right? But for me, I don't need to be that precise. So we take the swing low exit when it gives it to us, with the expectation we'll continue to fall. Beautiful. And we actually did the same thing in ES. So that was a double trade. And ES is acting a little bit more, so I'm just going to close at 5 handles, just because I don't like how it's moving there. But we should get the low of it as well. So no, we're just going to call it there for the day. Nice. So yeah, I would expect that ES gets, as we said, this inefficiency. NQ falling, there's first presented. Cool. It's a funded account. So it's just a trade of 8 funded account. Did we catch that swing low too? That'll be nice. Simply playing with the micros today. All right, pal talking. Keep it light. I just like to engage when prices like this to get a good feeling of it. So closure below, would almost expect that to hold now and just keep pushing for these lows, get outside of the opening range. NQ weaker, so continued sell-off. Nice. We get that swing low as well. So I'll probably be done, yeah, for today. We'll just watch. But we should get this low now, as we said. Multiple opportunities to enter throughout. First presented should hold. First time closing underneath that. So we would expect that becomes resistance now. It should hold us and send us lower. Lows here. Maybe midpoint of the 4 hour. If anything, right, we have both of these stacked. So it's like we'd want to see this one hold, but we can come back up into this one even. We still have the 5. So at this point, really I'm bearish until, or unless we get above this 5 minute. Because the 5 minute is closed below that as well. So that's going to be an inversion. You have first presented acting as a premium. So yeah, my expectation would be this holds and tries to get lower. Into like 4 hour midpoint. What time is it? 10:43. Bearish volume balance. We'll see if that stays open or if it's going to accelerate up into the 5. That'll be the first time. So we could retest the 5. That's fine. As we said, that's going to be the first time we really test it on a 5 minute sense. We did use it here originally, but this is before the 5 minute candlestick truly closed. So as far as 5 minute, we haven't touched that. If we're bearish though, right, that will be enough. So we can look and see if we're going to start falling now. That was midpoint, I believe, of opening range perfectly. Yep. So now we'll see if this 1 hour stays bearish. Equal lows. So slight consolidation here. But as we said, we would still expect at least these lows to be ran out. I'd want to see if we can't get outside of the opening range. That's kind of what I'm looking at this point. So this is the last discount before we would be able to leave the opening range. Last discount would hold us. But I would like to see us get outside that opening range actually. What is your indicators? Can you help me get a funded account? I mean, you should join my Discord. We do it live almost every day. I can't just give you one if that's what you're asking, but I could help you learn. Indicators I use all for, so ICT all-in-one is a paid indicator from one of my old members. That's kind of what most of everything that you're seeing is, right? Like the new week opening gaps, this here, our new day opening gaps, previous day high and low, midnight level. All of that's being controlled by this ICT all-in-one. This first presented indicator is a free one though. TBR first fair value gaps. I like that. And then I just have a watermark for my name. All right, so we're going to be done there now. Just got another short into the low of that opening range off ES. So we probably get into midpoint here. Right, that would be the expectation. As we said, first presented holds us, sends us lower. But for us, I mean, we're good. We're good today. We'll hang out till about 11, call it. How to get it. For this one, the TBR, you have to just, how did I get that one? On Twitter, it's someone called ICT Concepts. So you'd have to follow him on Twitter, join his like free WAP, and then that's in there. I don't even know if this ICT all-in-one is still for sale. Or like how you would access that. I could probably ask and then let you guys know. inversion here, I like that for longs now, to be honest. Back above the 4 hour. Okay, yeah. Monthly subscription. I couldn't remember if he still had it up for monthly or if it wasn't or whatnot. I obviously got access for free, right? Just because he was in my group. So that was kind of the deal. So if it is paid, you guys don't need it, but I find it useful. Not necessarily affiliated or anything like that. Just it helps me. But if that monthly subscription isn't something you want to pay for, there's other ones I'm sure you could find. First presented again. If we closed above this, I'd almost just go long right there again. But because that first presented's in the way, a little more hesitation. We could get another leg lower, 1 hour candlestick here, bearish. Might want to close near its low. Closure above, volume imbalance though, so I don't really trust that. It still could hold, but we immediately snap back in that range. No, sir. Really, that just started happening now. I've been doing this on YouTube for like 2 months, and every trade was shown. But now, yeah, that's reserved primarily for the Discord. Back to the OG way. I had that for a year or two, and then I just kind of stopped. But we're getting it started back up, so. Right in there, you'll actually see everything. All the trades in real time and whatnot. So that should hold. Where I first presented, this is kind of where we get real choppy. I still like 4 hours midpoint if we're going to be below the first presented for today. Which is pretty much just this low. So we can almost just go like this low. I'd rather go with this low first. Relative equal lows there. Sell side. Discord back shadow for real. Yes. Discord back shadow. Yes, I think you're just asking if it's back, but it is. I realize it's a lot easier for me to trade if I have other sources of income. And that's really why. Like, no issue of being straight up about that. And that's because I still know the value provided far exceeds what the price tag is. So if I could provide value like that while also just making it easier overall to trade, why would I not do that? And yeah, there you'll get like pretty much live streams every day. You're going to get daily recaps. So at the end of the day, you're going to have a recap of what took place throughout the day. You're going to have a backlog of there's probably 1,000+ hours of videos already in there. So it's not something you need. But if you're serious about improving or just following me every day, then that's an option that's available. So at this point, these are kind of the two opposing PD arrays, right? Like if we were going to favor longs, we would actually want this to hold like this. And then you could get a retracement back into the range. But because I kind of want to see these relative equal lows be taken, I'm more so looking at a setup here like this that relies on first presented. With that being the stop to then get into that, into the actual equal lows. Yeah, sorry, Hollow. I should have, but it was kind of just a game time decision. I realized I was kind of underselling myself a little bit. And I've gotten to the point to where, like I said, I truly believe the value far exceeds the $100, so I don't really have an issue with it. but it can be expensive, which is why I say you also don't need it. Like there will still be live streams on YouTube probably once a week. So it's just going to be a lot less frequent and you won't get the actual signals per se, right? Like I'm not a signal service, but obviously if I'm showing trades, people have the option to follow them if they would like to. So for me, Bren, I missed your question, Brendan, my fault. Oh, and yours. The Discord's 100. Other sources of income at the time, I don't really have any. I have an options account, right? But I don't count that as other sources because it still requires me to trade, if that makes sense. So all of my income was purely based on solely my trading, which is fine, right? It's good. But at the same time, it also just adds pressure. So I say you have a down day, a down week, then you have that pressure to perform again. Whereas with this, with the Discord, if I can grow it, not even crazy, but a steady income every month is just going to greatly help your trading ability. And that's something that I kind of fought for a long time, to be honest. And I've told that story before. I've just felt like if you want to be a legitimate trader, all your money should be made trading. And my mindset has shifted away from that. To where I realize if you actually want to be the best trader, you're going to have other sources of income besides trading only. So compression between, as we said, battling PD arrays here. 1 minute paired with the 4 hour low of the opening range versus first presented. As we said, we favor first presented inversion to get lower and at least maybe test these lows, but at the time being, we're currently sitting at the low of the opening range. So a battle is brewing. Thanks, Hollow. I appreciate that, brother. I wouldn't say better than ICT. I always say, right, you can't, 50 laws of power, you can never outshine the master. I may be able to, I don't know, portray or teach them in a better way that's a little bit less fluff, because ICT can ramble quite a bit. So I can see that, right? I'm able to just explain what should happen a little bit clearer, easier to understand. But ICT in my mind will always be number one. I always say everything that I've learned has been from him, but he hasn't taught me everything he knows. So I'm sure there's even things that I'm unaware of, but I feel as if I know enough, right? No need to push. That's what, yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. Although he gets sidetracked. A lot of ICT live streams are, we'll say 50% teaching, 50% ranting. And that just causes problems for people. Cool. So far we are actually, right, battle here is winning. Now that we've hit the low of the opening range, we then get above, we create and hold the discount that was created. We're back into first presented, however, so still could fall. But at this point, in my mind, if we got back above first presented, we really would need to get above both of them to feel real confident. So a line in the sand, still first presented, right? As long as we're holding this, I still favor sell side. We displace above that, more importantly above this one as well, which is where the midpoint is located, then my idea would flip. But from here, still shorts. Gonna refill my water, be right back. Hey, facts. Honestly, Mike, that is one thing I'm like, it's crazy to think about where I will be if we just keep doing this, which I have no intention to stop. So it's like, you can only get better, right? It's exciting. That's why I love trading in general. I like being able to improve at things, and I feel like trading something that you can always get better at. A 100, yes, sir, 100. And I agree, right? I thought honestly it was a little much, but then as I look around, I did some research on other people offering services, can't lie. And I see, right, $100, people 125. And in my mind, no offense to anybody, but I feel like the value I provide, my ability to read price is really second to, I would say, Michael only. And I'm not someone that really likes to be cocky or anything, but I am confident in that point to where I've just spent so much time looking at this that I've yet to really meet anyone else that could read price with the degree of accuracy. Of course, besides Michael, because that's who I learned from, but most people seem to just have a certain model that they look for. So that's more so like pattern trading. Where with us, we more so just trade price action, right? We're not waiting for like a specific model that we can interact with. Granted, that helps, of course, but having a deeper understanding allows you to create your own models. And that was always what the objective of ICT concepts were. To not put you in a box, to allow you to create a model that you enjoy for yourself, fit your personality. Could be inversions, could be breakers, could be fair value gaps, volume imbalances. Nah, you'll be around, Mike. Don't say that. Trust. You're not that much older. Plus, if you're healthy, nah, you'll be around. You'll be around. So it's 11 o'clock. So at this point, we're done. No more entries or anything. We can kind of go through, I guess, what we did today. Okay, so right, we get long, partial, catch the swing high. We then try to go long again. We flip it as we realize that we're off sides. We're adding as we're holding new day opening gap, and we're closing inside of first presented. Here's kind of our first loss. I did try to go, it wasn't even a loss really. Same idea, pretty much what we did here. I'm trying to go long. As we said, we had the 5 minute here. We have our first presented. So after clearing the short-term low, I was trying to get this high again. So as we trade lower, we're getting long, but as we invert this fair value gap immediately, I understand I'm offsides. So I'm simply waiting for price to return up into that, and I'm flipping again. All right, so we get short where we entered here. We then get out at this low. So once again, 5 handle move, partial here, full closure at this low. So at that point, I have no trade set. We then go to, right, the micro, like we said. And Q, that's just an obvious short in my mind. Like, we had the 1 hour fair value up there as well. So it's already heavy. It trades up into our 8:30 open and rejects, displaces back below the 1 hour, back below the new week opening gap, back below previous day's high. You can see everything there. So that was an easy short as we trade up into that. Getting out at sell side. We were going to target here, but as we said, I'm fine just catching the low. At the same time in ES, we were actually taking this one as well. So same idea, right? It runs up into pretty much the space between the two new week opening gaps, or excuse me, first presented fair value gaps. We're expecting that to hold anyways. It does, and then we actually get out at the low here, at the low of the opening range. So we actually catch the swing low so far. That's nice. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swing lows. 1, 2, 3, 4 swing highs. That's funny. This is some of the precision that is capable, right? All swing highs and swing lows. And that's kind of why, like, I've said it before, but the best entries for me will be swing points. So I'm almost always expecting, like, wherever I enter to become a swing. If it doesn't, then obviously it's going to be a little less probable. But, like, if I enter and a swing forms there, that just adds a lot of confidence to the idea of panning out. At this point, we do get above first presented. Let's see if we leave this open. Which we already have left it open now. Where are we at? New 1 hour candlestick. Okay, so the opening was here. So we may go bullish on this 1 hour now. Bearish into the 4 hour, followed by bullish back up. Which means we could look for... yeah, really the first presented again. We left these lows, but we don't really need to get there. 5 minute holds, the 5 minute fair value gap. 4 hour held. 15 OB holds bodies. Yeah, I'm bullish again. Bullish, bullish. If we're going to create like a real bullish run, we actually will leave this open as a breakaway gap. So this will become a breakaway gap and we'll use this higher first presented and not return into this and just run straight for like this fair value gap and potentially this buy side pull right here. Right, because really the same idea. We close below the first presented, we trade up into the high of it, and then reprice back below it. So now already this first presented has become balanced when we leave it here for the first time. We trade lower, we clear a short-term low, we retrace up into the first presented, not getting into its midpoint, so remaining heavy. We then try to break through a low. We fail multiple times. Right, we retrace one more time into the first presented, this time hitting its midpoint and rejecting again. So at that point, right, especially after we clear the high, we should have broke a lower, but instead we can't. We then get huge displacement. Right, where does this candle close? It closes right on the high of the first presented. So notice we tested the low, we tested the midpoint, and now we actually come back and test the high, closing above that. So when I see that, I immediately think that, all right, well, because that fair value gap's already balanced and what time it is, price really won't need to run into that, especially because, right, we have this higher one here. So as I see the next candle push above that, the expectation is we just use the higher first presented. And this actually gets turned into like a breakaway gap until we reach up into this fair value gap. Or I guess we already did hit that opposing, so okay, we did clear that high. So we already did clear this high, so at this point we can come back down into this. Because now we've cleared opposing liquidity. But as we're saying, if we are actually extremely bullish and like we're aiming for this high, most recent discount in my mind would probably hold, which would be this fair value gap. If anything, this inversion, because it's anchored to like the first presented. But as we said, we already did clear that internal range. So after doing that, then you could see retracements into open inefficiencies. So at this point, it would make sense if we wanted to retest today's first presented. NQ over here as well. Did we even clear that high? What high is that? Relative equal highs at NQ. We'll see if it can get those, but at this time, we're just watching for the most part. We're already done for the day. 11 o'clock is kind of my window to where if I don't have a trade set up by then, we just let it rock. Retesting, cool. Yeah, so after clearing the buy side, right, as we said, you can retest those open inefficiencies. If we still want to maintain bullishness, this will hold us though. Because we often say we leave those as breakaways as we're reaching. Once we do deliver into the objective, then price will retrace into those. And if it wants to create another leg, it'll hold that. If, however, this was kind of the objective, and now we want to attack the relative equal lows, right, we'll see the price just fall. Oh, swing back NQ, because NQ is probably heavy as heck. Yep, NQ is just a lot weaker. So anytime that we're moving lower in ES, we're pretty much just clearing lows in NQ. Heavy. So yeah, we should be able to get midpoint now at this point. We wanted to see that. Instead, we held the low. We run up into that short-term buy side. And now we dump. This becomes the area of interest again. So pretty much the original low. Oh. If we leave a fair value gap here, so it'd have to be perfectly aligned with this low. So if we do end up like tapping this and not, so right there, if we leave it like that and leave this fair value gap, I'd actually look for that to hold price. Okay, so we're not going to leave it, so my mind already immediately switches, right? Because we're not creating a fair value gap as we break through a low. So already that idea is invalidated. Still could go lower, however, but this time we would actually look at the volume balance if we're going to do that. Two-minute, yeah, because right, that's just going to be a wick. So if we see something like this, trade lower, immediately trade back into that range. That's more so a reversal signature, but we still have to wait for this and see what happens. Small 1 minute fair value gap, volume imbalance. Because right, 2 minute, 5 minute, all the other candlesticks are holding this midpoint. I wanted to see this fair value gap be traded into, and now we have a swing low just above it. So ideally, we still make one more pass for that, right, and trade into the actual fair value gap. Nice, okay. Well, there we go. So right into it. From here, we'll see. Because now we've hit pretty much all sell side objectives. I'm looking at the anatomy of this fair value gap, and I'm thinking, if we are bearish, of course, we're just going to come for this low. So we'll just expect continued bearishness. If price does want to bounce, however, and like hold this range, really the last discount will hold. So that's what I'm watching at this point. But the fact that we've closed below the sell side like that, that's interesting. To me, that's more bearish. So we'll probably want to use this low as resistance. Oh, that's what just happened. So yeah, I'm watching that actually. NQ staying lower. Last discount, as we said, so rejection here, maybe we start looking for the reversal. 2 minute is still a wick. Yeah, we've had perfect delivery into that 1 minute fair value gap. 5 minute rejection block as well. So yeah, in my mind, this is what price will try to hold if it wants to run higher and doesn't actually want to run out this dealing range low. NQ, I mean, that SMT is actually, I wouldn't even say that's SMT. That's just, like, that's ridiculous. Go to a 15. Yeah, something like that. Like, that's almost too much to be SMT, and I would expect ES to try to catch up. $150 handles below that swing point compared to where ES is at. If NQ did invert that, though, could switch up the idea. But yeah, I would still favor, I'd actually want to see this low be cleared just for confluence sake. Because if NQ is that low and ES can't run that low, we're just going to be in a weird situation. So I wouldn't mind us trying to run out that low. What time is it? Oh, it's only 11. Damn. We'll hang out till like 11:15 or something like that. Maybe 11:30. At this point, we're just observing. But yeah, I would like to see pretty much remain heavy, fall underneath this fair value gap, and then use it as resistance, maybe using the 4 hours as resistance to get outside of it to clear that low. Once we can clear this low or get to the low, then we'll call it there. Closure under midpoint. This is where we'd want to see midpoint offer resistance and keep pushing price lower now. All right, if we're going to trade into this fair value gap perfectly close above, as we say, it should become balanced. So if we're going to give up its midpoint after that, to me, that's more so like a flip in the delivery. And it's going to want to use it as resistance instead of support to try to get this low at this point. That becomes my objective, right? This low off of midpoint of that potential inversion. So it's not a true inversion, but this is how we talk about, like, it gives you signs before it actually does create an inversion. Because if we're going to use it as support and then give up that midpoint, more often than not, it's going to be resistance. It does hold us. NQ continues to run lows. ES, though, just stronger this whole time. We didn't get that low. That's pretty sloppy. At this point, we'd want to hold the high of this 1 minute. Right, this wick, pretty much. We'd want to see, like, if we're going to get this low, so it could wick into this wick here, into the volume imbalance, but you'd want the body to actually hold this midpoint. So that's kind of what we're watching to see. NQ already weaker though, so NQ just keeps taking lows, but I would expect one more dump, or not even really a super dump, but just one more leg lower to clear this swing low. So midpoint holds the body. As we said, we could wick into the volume imbalance. We'd want midpoint to hold body bearish. No closure below, however, so price could reverse technically if it wants to. I still favor that short-term low being engaged though. And then from there we'll be done. No more objectives. Closure below that would accelerate price into its low if it doesn't just take it right away. Doesn't want to, right? Does not want to close below that. I think we're just baiting here though. I don't trust it. Another closure right on that level. Random closure there. NQ, yeah, for heavier prices, NQ offered a lot of shorting opportunities, that's for sure. He said chase a short and got 200. Oh dear. Guess that's good and bad. Money's money, but you don't want to make bad habits. $10.32 perfect short entry. Was that the one we took? Yeah, that's textbook right there. This one too, actually. But this one I was more so confirming. So I was like, all right, that already is high probability. So after seeing that, right, because 1 minute fair value gap, wicked, perfect wick paired with the fair value gap, so double gap. We'll just pull up NQ by itself. So I would agree that right there, right, those are the textbook short setups. Yeah, because this one we create the breaker. We had our midpoint as well. Were there any? Oh yeah, and we had the 830 level. Yeah, that was textbook too. Right, so we already say if we create a wick and then you displace through the wick, that'll be an area of resistance. As we do that, we create actually a bearish fair value gap in its place. That also closes below a swing low. So that's a true break in structure. That swing low is midpoint of the 1 minute that was created, and we had 830 opening with the low. So I'm watching that and I'm thinking that should hold price for sure. It does, right? And then when we get this acceleration outside of now the 1 hour, that is where we get true kind of confirmation. Oh, say we close outside the 1 hour. I'd agree. That was a nice setup there. Those are the ones we like, right? You can go back, journal it, list everything that led up to that. Breaking below the final low to displacement, previous day, new week opening gap. Same idea with the wick being traded through. I'd agree. A+ setup we would call there. But even then, a lot of shorting opportunities. Could have turtle souped. Those a little bit harder, but right, one there, one there. At this point, really all the premiums were holding. Volume imbalance, fair value gap, volume imbalance. But now we are starting to reverse, so maybe, let's see. Right, as we said, last discount will hold us if we don't want to actually clear that external range. We get real close, but what happens? Last discount holds us, and now we're accelerating. We said that if we get above this wick, more than likely we're going to flip. We close above it, immediately trade down into it, and now we're getting the run back up into the 4 hour high. From here, we still may hold, but that's kind of why I just let it do what it wants to after 11. You say you want me to trade NQ. You really love NQ. Maybe we'll go half and half in the Discord. Because yeah, NQ is not too bad. I just like ES is so much more precise. But NQ gives good entries. Yeah, no, I agree. We could do that. I'll just leave them both open. And then if I'm entering, I'll like explain where that same entry would take place on NQ. Says, I love it. NQ's my baby. I mean, that's fair. As I said, I started with NQ as well, but I moved to ES as I got better and more proficient, just because in my mind, it's easier to catch 5 handles more consistently. But NQ still offers good delivery, so we'll do that. Because as I said, I don't want to put people in a box either. So if people want to learn NQ, all the concepts are the same, but it's nice to see them applied on the live chart in real time. NQ has your nerves bad. Yeah. I feel like a lot of newer traders do NQ because it moves more, or at least this is what I did. Right, and people that are newer that I've talked to, is that you feel like you need to trade NQ so you can, whether it be pass evaluations or just make more money because the ranges are bigger. Whereas now it's more so, I want consistency over, I guess, large runs, if that makes sense. So for me, I could find more consistency in ES. But that doesn't mean NQ doesn't give, I mean, right, great setups. And to be honest, like, banger trades in NQ will always be better than ES because it does move more. So if you get a good trade in NQ, it's more satisfying. That's true. Triple low, right? Yeah. But as we said, that, I mean, that's kind of a textbook for range. I don't really want to say range bound, but in theory it is range bound. Like this low to this high was our current dealing range. So you'll find that if price doesn't want to clear external ranges, it's going to use the last PD array available. And that was this one. So that's why we were really keyed up on that. So as soon as something like that gets traded into and we reverse, like this would have been the long. from here, honestly, I'm almost thinking like if we're gonna meet speed with speed, something like this, we'll just follow that and see if we're offsides there or not. But this is where like this fair value gap and this fair value gap I would see as breakaway gaps if we want to start running bullish aggressively. This should only be the last fair value gap that price will make an attempt to trade into. Yeah, so we'll see if that plays out. If we came all the way back down into like midpoint, I think we just consolidate heading into lunch in the afternoon. So I do want to follow this here and see if this price leg is going to deliver again into first, or at least buy side. We did hit first presented though. So that was kind of our line in the sand. Is if we're under that, we can maintain bearishness, but I'd mostly want to see price flip at this point. So we're going to follow this one here. Because we create the wick, the volume imbalance, the very next candle accelerates through the wick. Wick acts as a gap paired with the 1 minute itself that we've created. Just like this. And we have the higher time frame, 4 hour. Inversion breaker as well, actually. Oh wait, we haven't closed above, so not quite yet, but potential inversion breaker. This is where, yeah, we would say, right, breakaway gap, acceleration. If anything, institutional order flow at the most recent 1 minute. And push for the high. Speed met with speed. Yeah, if you understand order flow, right, you can kind of take those. Because you have to think the market creates areas like that for that sole purpose of, I would almost say, tricking people. To where now you get almost married to the idea and you start trading ICT like it's just a retail pattern. You say, well, because there's lows there, right, those have to get traded into. But that's not the case at all. It more so depends on what order flow is actually showing. And here it's showing, right, that unwillingness. So the longs would be the play. As a matter of fact, yeah, those do turn into breakaways. Okay. So we'll probably just run this high right away. It didn't even give the institutional order flow. Instead, you would have had to use that volume imbalance. So my entry was here actually on the 4 hour because I expected the 4 hour to be hit, but instead we used that little volume imbalance. So just a very bullish leg here, breakaway gap, breakaway gap. High should be targeted. We're also above both first percentage as well. Right, so that's why I'm saying we wouldn't expect this to be retraced into. As we run higher, this will be just a straight bullish price leg so far. That's what's taking place. Could hit this and then potentially bounce. But if we close above this buy side, this will be like a bullish breaker. It's going to be a large one too because it's consecutive up close candles. So technically, right, this whole thing would be the breaker. Like this. I would almost try to refine it, however, to this. Because it's paired with our first presented. And have our expectation that we just keep running. Okay, so at this point, now we could hit some untapped inefficiencies. So those do become breakaways, right, on this price delivery. Doesn't even give you that retracement entry. Instead, as we said, just uses the most recent discount right there. Leaving these relative equal lows. Nice. So maybe we come back for those, but we don't really have to at this point, especially if, what's the 4 hour? Yeah, the 4 hour wick. So to be honest, I don't really think we'll come back down for those until we clear buy side. We're just going to run straight. We'll create an aggressive pump up. We're going to run straight for the buy side here probably. Using the breaker. So like my expectation, if I was going to try to catch a move here, I'd almost have to use a continuation entry. So the expectation would be, let's see, That's a breakaway, that's a breakaway. You wouldn't really want to see the 4-hour be retested at this point with the bodies rejecting the way they are. Pushing above, 15. 0 inefficiencies, so this is all efficiently delivered, yeah. So really, we should just keep running, to be honest. I wouldn't want to see the 4-hour. 4-hour should be done if we're going to go for these highs. So that means most recent area for entry, I would try to use the breaker here. Right, notice that as we leave the high of it, what do? We create that volume imbalance right there perfectly. So in my mind, we should hold that. We do have some first percentages here, so it may need to get all the way, but especially because we left the opening range again, I'd want to just see this hold. Tap that, wick it if anything, close back above the opening range, and make another attempt to run higher. We have hit our midnight level, so that's currently what stopped us. So we'll see if midnight ends up being kind of that barrier, but I would much favor a leg higher from this breaker. 62.43. That one's fine too there, yeah. I just like to label the most recent one. So we still have this one, which we can come into that, but I'm labeling this one because I would want to see the bodies respect that one. So like we could wick into this, that's fine. But this one becomes the one I'd rather see bodies actually respect. We're being stuck here as well. So right now we're hitting a few premiums, okay? Inversion, bearish displacement, and as we said, midnight level. That's why I'd actually want to see this hold though, because that will indicate stronger price action. If it doesn't retrace deep into this, doesn't even hit this volume imbalance and instead holds here, that's going to be extremely bullish. And that's kind of what we would favor if price was going to run. So far it works there. As we said, we can wick into it. I wouldn't want to see the body start giving up that though. We still have our fair value gaps here. We'll see where NQ's at actually. Let's see. NQ did not clear that high. Is that the same high? What high is that? Okay, so SMT at those highs actually. I would still favor NQ to run those highs, however. We'll watch this though. This becomes external range buy side. Cool. So far it holds again. We'd want this now to remain open and accelerate above the inversion and above this swing point here. Beautiful. Nice. Best case scenario, we leave this open, we close above the swing high is what we'd want to see. If we don't, we might continue to retest this actually and not leave quite yet. Looks like we're going to get rejected there, yep, okay. Look at that closure. Look at the bodies. Boom, 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 boom. So we'll probably just continue to retest this then. At 11:32, you know what, we're calling it. We're calling it. That's one bad habit I picked up from ICT. I gotta say bye 15 times. I just get distracted. It's like I want to leave and then price does something and I want to see what it does. Passionate, we'll say that. But no, we're done, we're done, we're done. All trades have been taken. For us, doesn't really matter what happens anymore. One more time, we'll kind of just share right what we did here. So swinging pretty much. Choppy delivery, but I mean, look how many swing highs and swing lows we were able to catch. Right, one swing low, as we said, one swing low, 2 swing lows. Pretty much every buy, oh, besides that one. Okay. 2 swing lows, 3 swing lows, 4 swing lows, 5 swing lows, 6 swing lows, 7 swing lows, 8 swing lows, 9 swing lows, 10 swing lows, 11 swing lows, 12 swing lows, 13 swing lows, 14 swing lows, 15 swing lows, 16 swing lows, 17 swing lows, 18 swing lows, 19 swing lows, 20 swing lows, 21 swing lows, 22 swing lows, 23 swing lows, 24 swing lows, 25 swing lows, 26 swing lows, 27 swing lows, 28 swing lows, 29 swing lows, 30 swing lows, 31 swing lows, 32 swing lows, 33 swing lows, 34 swing lows, 35 swing lows, 36 swing lows, 37 swing lows, 38 swing lows, 39 swing lows, 40 swing lows, 41 swing lows, 42 swing lows, 43 swing lows, 44 swing lows, 45 swing lows And that's funny, right? So the two longs that actually didn't pan out, they weren't swing lows. And that's kind of what I mean when I say like my A+ setups will always be swing point entries. Here. Same with the exits or shorts, right? But overall, just a lot of back and forth. And that's kind of what you can do when price is choppy like this, is to just be precise, small move, 5-handle runs all over the place from obvious areas, right? Swing highs to swing lows. And then as we said, we had one on NQ as well. Another swing high to swing low. So it's pretty much the norm, right? For our setups is that we'll catch the swing highs and the swing lows. And if we don't, it's just less probable for us. But all right, everybody. All right, so do I. So I'm like, I'm trying to leave, but I want buy side. Because that's holding there. So this should hold here. I will say this. Break this low, we leave. Break this high, we leave. Give me a hard barrier for exit. Got to treat it like a rule. This is 4 hour. I might use the 4 hour candle. Huge wick on the 4. I still like bullishness though. Yeah. Let's go higher. Let's get outside opening range. As you said, breaker high should hold. Like this would be my entry if I was going to target something. I don't like that I can't click that anymore. Oh my, of course we don't get below it. Get below it. Yes, we're done. All right, now I'm out for real now. At this point, we're pretty much just range bound. We're going to be at equilibrium. That's kind of what I'm expecting. This price just wants to sit around that. So we have equilibrium here. And then of the original leg, right, notice that. Notice how both of these legs, their equilibrium is pretty much the same thing. So my expectation actually, and that one is anchored to the first presented. So I'd actually expect probably just first presented consolidation. If anything, maybe hit that and run higher, but we're content with where we had today. If you guys are going to be around, I still do favor at this point buy side. All right, like let's take a look. Let's just go on ES itself. Kind of clear. Let's just clear. Let's hide everything so it's easier to see. Right, on a 1 hour, these are all wicks here. And this is still the 1 hour fair value gap. So you notice that we're holding that with bodies. A lot of wicks. 4 hours, same thing, right? 4 hour fair value gap here. We come into it. We're now holding it with the bodies. So on this higher time frame, I would prefer a run higher. So that's what I would be expecting. But yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. Tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow for high impact news? Let's see. So tomorrow we have high impact news, 7:15. That's 8:15 Eastern. Or is that 9:50? What time is that? Yeah, it'll be 8. Okay. So tomorrow will be just a normal stream for us. 9:25, 9:20 Eastern, sometime there, just before the opening bell. But that'll be back in the Discord. So as we said, live streams on YouTube will take place maybe once a week. If you're someone that would want to be involved in pretty much every live stream every day and just have more access to me and things of that nature, the Discord is where you will find that. So tomorrow we will be live in the Discord for the members. Appreciate you who hung out this morning for free. And yeah, until next time, I'll plan for like Tuesday. So the live streams on YouTube, we'll try to do the same day every week just so it can be consistent and remember. So plan for next week for the live stream users, or for the YouTube users anyways. But for those in the Discord, we will talk tomorrow morning at 9:25 Eastern. So until then, stay safe, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk tomorrow morning.